Middle call. Hey, hey. Welcome to the Raider John podcast. This is Raider Guy. With me today is Raider John. Raider game just ended. We're taking your phone calls. 888-988-5555. Get in now. Here with you for the next 7 hours.
These were the days, guy, when I was slumming it at the Coliseum and you had your slippers on, basketball shorts, and a sweatshirt on at your house eating snacks while we were making the same money, and I was sitting there.
Raider Dave is on the phone. Raider Dave, you're on with Raider Guy and Raider John. Go ahead. It is Sunday night. This is an impromptu pod. The Niners play Monday night against the Rams. A lot of you know that. So we'll go live after Monday Night Football. But a lot of stuff happened on Sunday, so we thought we'd.
Mark Davis brought Becky Hammond to the game, guy.
Yeah, you sent me that photo. Just to to give
champions. I think to influence Josh that what was going on was unacceptable. Becky's a champion. Mark's now a champion, and he just wanted to let him know that, like, you've been at a champion as a number 2, but we've been champions. Becky as the head coach, me as an owner as number 1s as the alpha. So
yeah,
do you need to exchange numbers to bounce ideas off Becky? Do you need to bounce ideas off me again in a post-game meeting room in a hallway where after a loss, it won't be pretty this time. I took it easy last time. It won't be pretty.
Yeah. There's a VIP room, champions only. Josh, Mark told them not invited.
Yeah, it's like Mark Davis, Becky Hammond, and Phil Hellmuth.
Phil Hellmuth.
Heard the all-in guys talking now. He's just great of a poker player he is.
Yeah.
Is that Lacob's buddy?
Yeah, I think he's always at the games, isn't he?
Yeah, whoever Lacob's rolling around with is like the Brady of poker.
On the stream, are we here for jokes or football? I don't know why you're here.
Yeah, we didn't tell you to come.
You just came in. All right. Hey, we are sponsored by our friends Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka. That's where it's at. That's where it's always at. From Sunday Night Football, which if you're watching this on YouTube live, we're on before Sunday Night Football, or maybe Monday Night Football. If you're listening to this on the podcast or watching the stream after the fact, get after it with our friends at Tito's Handmade Vodka.
Yep. I could actually use a Tito's desperately right now, even though I have a couple bottles in my fridge. Might need to pour a cocktail here. Tito's, but I don't have any mixers. Maybe I'll go across the street and get some soda water, flavored soda water, a nice LaCroix. I like a good LaCroix.
Little pamplemousse.
Yeah, I'm very, very loyal to the LaCroix lime. It's the green one. Mm-hmm. But is the pamplemousse the kind of reddish?
I don't know which one that is. I've never forgotten that name because it's so silly.
Well, they got one that is very tasty. Whatever the red kind of raspberry-ish one, which I think is the one you're talking about, is fantastic.
Over 20 years ago, Tito was doing his thing. He started getting after. Now it's been 25, and he's making the best product that there is. So Tito's Handmade Vodka. We appreciate them sponsoring the show. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 88 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly. I think odds are we'll probably have it. We'll have it flowing on Monday night. Will be my guess, John.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for you, but
I bet. How many do you think John Harbaugh's deep right now? You see him today?
Did he say something? Or you just mean his face?
I'm just saying the decision to. Did you see the pick that they went for it on 4th down?
Yeah.
2020.
You're talking about the pick in the end zone.
Then they lose the game, but then he gave this explanation after the game. I just think John Harbaugh, John, I wouldn't say his arrow's pointing down, but, it's not quite going as smoothly as we thought. And Jim, just kicking everyone's ass.
Have you looked at the box score from that Bills-Ravens game, by the way?
No, I watched a decent amount of it. I haven't.
Okay.
I saw Lamar didn't have like 300 yards passing or whatever.
Do you want to guess Josh Allen's line from that game?
Probably not great because they were down 20-0 at half. So I would guess a couple hundred yards. He ran for a touchdown.
But that means they scored 23 in the second half. So,
well, he ran for a touchdown. Was the game winner a throw? I don't even remember what the game win. Oh, I guess they kicked a field goal, huh? He would have only thrown 2 touchdowns. They kicked 3 field goals.
Threw 1 touchdown.
So he threw a touchdown, ran a touchdown.
He was 19 of 36. That's 52.7%.
Was rainy.
213, a touchdown, a pick. Lamar Jackson was 20 of 29, 144. Okay. So 144 and 213, quick math tells you that's 357, right? I know this. When I watch those two guys play, it feels different than 257 combined. Like, I watched that Ravens game thinking, if you put Lamar, every team's allowed 5 primetime games. You could put Lamar on 5, Herbert on 5, Josh Allen on 5. That's 15 weeks. You can give me 15 weeks, then you just got to put Mahomes or Brady or something on for the other two. Garoppolo.
The first time I ever remember seeing this move, and it's such a subtle move, but it's so effective, as Ryan Matthews. He had, Shady had the Allen Iverson crossover, like Barry Sanders. Ryan Matthews had this little, step inside, and you would just miss him. It was almost like a bullfighter Olay. Did you notice Lamar's go-to move is the little, it's a very subtle cut back in, and the dude clearly just thinks he's going to destroy him, and Lamar just keeps on going. It's not a crazy juke. It's just, he waits till the last possible second. You always talk about confidence as a runner. He's in full fucking control of the car. And then it's boop. And then sometimes they kind of trip him and he gets another 4 or 5. Sometimes they just whiff and he just keeps on going.
The best move I saw of that move. Did you see the quarterback for UCLA, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, pull that move on Friday night against Washington?
That was the best, where he just kind of stopped. But even that was very kind of, they were both kind of going to one side.
Yeah.
And he wasn't running as fast sometimes. Like, I'm talking Ryan Lamar full speed.
Right.
Not necessarily down the line like Dorian was.
You're saying let a guy just hit the brakes.
DTR's was pretty sweet.
It was an all-timer. For those who didn't see it, they two guys just ran right into each other like a cartoon. I mean, it was crazy. Like,
there are a lot of athletic quarterbacks in football right now running around.
I know. Will Levis. What'd you think of watching the little drafts? Hashtag scout draft scout. Will Levis, Kentucky, Ole Miss, hell of a game.
Well, you got to put it into context. So I text some NFL people. They said he's not playing with a lot of NFL players, like the wide receivers and stuff. He is pretty physically gifted. I mean, he's got a huge arm. He can let it rip. I mean, he did basically have the 2 game losing turnovers. Not totally his fault. The second one, the right tackle whiffed. Did try to, leap forward. I watched every snap of that game. 9 a.m. Kentucky, Ole Miss. 5 years ago, you would have had to pay people to watch. I was glued.
It was a great game. Bailey Zappi today, John, 10 of 15 for 99 yards and a touch. Overtime loss for the old Patriots. So Brian Hoyer still has not started and finished a game. Remember that stat we had on the last pod? Yeah. Still has not started. He started the game in 2020, got replaced by Stidham. If I can't even finish a game with you as my backup quarterback, what am I keeping you around for?
Finished? I don't even think Hoyer made it to halftime.
He was 5 of 6.
What was his injury? I looked on Twitter. I wasn't really watching the game at first because I was like, the Packers are going to kill him. And then Hoyer goes out, and I'm like, I'll peek on Zappi and Rodgers. And it turned out to be, we just went
head
live.
Injury.
He got concussed.
Head injury.
I was rooting for, Bailey Zappi threw for 6 Gs his senior year.
Well, how many touchdowns was it? Was it like 63 or something like that?
I'm sure it's some NCAA records.
Yeah.
Did you see the picture of Zappi? Guy, he looks a doppelganger of Mac Jones. He's identical to Mac Jones, his face.
You think it's Mac?
It's it looks just like him. Short, kind of, not like yellow blonde, but blondish, lighter hair, similar facial structures. It's crazy.
I have not seen the side by side. I'm going to have to pull that up.
People were tweeting it out. It was pretty funny.
Boy, did help me remember here. Seattle was favored by 4. Or Detroit was favored by 4. Remember we had this whole discussion the other day.
Yeah, well, the game was in Detroit. I don't know. I would guess
Seattle won by 3, 48-45.
Do you want to hear the craziest stat of the day?
Yeah.
I did the math because it was just, I'm pretty fascinated what's going on right now with the Lions. Through 4 games, they've given up an average of 35 points a game. I think 48, 38, 27, 28. So when you add that up, divided by 4, it equals over 35. You would think a team through 4 games giving up 35 a game, who's 1-3, you'd be like, gosh, shit, they're probably minus 80. Their point differential is -1. -1. Now, you can say, do you buy into the fact when you're down, you just kind of let it loose and it's not real offense? Because they're down
I do
20 points a lot in the second half.
You call more aggressive plays when you are down. Yes, and the defense probably plays a less aggressive defense when they are up, right?
Yeah, would the game look like this at 20-20 than when it's 35-20, right?
Right.
and it's 12 minutes to go. You're just kind of letting it rip. And honestly, Jared Goff's kind of letting it rip. Like he makes some really nice plays. I'm fascinated by this Lions team. Atrocious defense. I mean, they feel like the worst defense in the league. I mean, just gaping holes. I clicked on a couple times of the ticket. Isn't it kind of crazy that, I mean, I guess your family has had the ticket. I have never experienced the ticket till this year. It's like, why have I been waiting so long? Like what we do, I send this to the write-off people. It's not like this is fucking a business expense. It's pretty incredible just how you can fly around. Huge disadvantage just keeping track on little things that not having it. I thought I was up to date. I haven't been.
Yeah, I will say the red zone, once they gave us the red zone, everything else is auxiliary and nice, but nothing would be as good as it is without the red zone as a thing. Like having access to every game would be great and you would take it. But the red zone is a pretty incredible thing.
I agree, but this morning's a good example. On paper, there were a lot of shitty games, right? Like ultimately, Detroit and Seattle was fun. It's pretty irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. New York, Chicago, right? So when you watch the red zone on a morning like today with this slate, you do get a lot of Detroit, Seattle, New York, Chicago, Texans, Chargers. So it's like, do I care? Yeah, I'm interested to know like kind of the stats and the final scores. I don't need to see that much. Like I don't need to see a snap of Chicago, New York.
Right.
Even though I do get kind of interested when they're like, all their quarterbacks are hurt. Saquon's now the quarterback. I'm like, okay, I'll flip over.
Of the 13 games, 8 of them were 1-score games. And that doesn't count Broncos Raiders, which finished as a 9-point game, but was felt like a 1-score game. It does, however, count Giants Bears, which was 20-12. So, yeah.
Can we give our man a little credit? Josh McDaniels. You had to win this game. Because it was Josh Jacobs, who they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, ran for almost 150 yards and was a fucking man-child today. I mean, he was a beast. He had a run today where he like juked 3 guys, broke a tackle. When his jersey got ripped, he was sweet. But Derek and Josh are just feels a little off. It just feels like the eye test, it's not passing the eye test. He still makes a couple nice throws. He let it rip a couple times with his legs today. He had a long run. He kind of dove. I think it was
right before halftime.
Right before halftime.
Set up the field goal.
It's like, Derek, the coach has called the timeouts. It's like he's coming up for air. Like, you're good, man.
Like he's falling into a pool.
When does a quarterback ever do that? Like, hey,
when I saw it happen, I was like, there must have been like a second left in the game, in the half.
There's 9.
Yeah. It's all right.
That play is a good example, though, when he runs. He's a much better athlete than he gets credit for. I don't think he runs enough.
He's a fantastic athlete. I agree.
Why doesn't he move more? But the passing game is just, for the talent they have. Now, Renfro, I know he got a concussion a couple weeks ago. He didn't play in this game either. So when he comes back with Devontae and Waller, I mean, they do have a pretty potent
and
attack.
Hollins.
Holland's a beast. I kind of like old Mac Hollins from Philly. I mean, how he just run out of spots. I mean, they're too good. You can't keep them all.
Unbelievable domination.
Just cruising to 4-0.
Yep. Plus 44, number 1 in the NFL in point differential.
The Birds.
Yep.
People made a really big deal. Like, guys, it's Philly. I get it. They can be angry. Doug Peterson won the first franchise Super Bowl and then got fired. He was going to get a standing ovation. These people aren't fucking animals. I mean, everyone's like, oh my God, the respect. Yeah, they're Eagle fans. This guy 4 or 5 years ago outdueled Belichick in a Super Bowl. He would get a standing ovation anywhere in like North Korea. I mean, what are you talking? Whoever that team was, what he represented, a championship, no matter how crazy the people are, the dictators, the fucking Eagle, it doesn't matter. He was like, why were people so shocked that Doug got a standing ovation? Or was like,
I don't know. The other thing I think people are overlooking is the person who does the breaking up is it's less awkward for them when they see the other person, right? There's less animosity. So the Eagles broke up with Doug Peterson. So Eagles fans, but Doug Peterson didn't tell them, I don't like you guys anymore. The Eagles told Doug, we don't want you anymore, right? So this is the opposite of the Broncos Russell situation. Russell said, I want out, so Seahawks fans hate him. But what do Eagles fans care? Why would they be mad at him? Doug didn't say, get me out of here. I hate this town. I can't handle the pressure. In fact, he handled it better than most people when it came to, although Sirianni does a hell of a job too, to just kind of feel like his personality is a good match for the market.
Well, yeah, it's like you can get dumped, and the person that dumps you then doesn't get to be angry with you a couple years later.
Yeah.
Like when you're doing well.
How dare you show up at my favorite restaurant?
Hey, good to see you.
Exactly. How are things?
Balky and me, man.
Balky. I did have a bulky. I didn't get to fire it off today, but maybe another day.
It was the shitty part about that game. To me, rain games in general, when you really are interested in the outcome, like when it mattered, I felt that about Eagles, Jags, and Bills, Lamar, even though it felt like it was raining a little harder in Philly than it was in Baltimore. Like I would like it can be cold, but I would like no perspiration. Precipitation, yes. What did I say?
Sweat.
Participation?
Perspiration, which is sweat.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett era is underway, and he threw only 3 incompletions, John. He was 10 of 13.
How many interceptions did he throw?
Well, 3. All 3 incompletions were interceptions. The ball never hit the ground. How about that? Think about it that way. Ball never hit the ground.
And then Minka had a line like, it sucks losing to shittier teams. It's like, well, you're sweet, but your team's got some issues, buddy.
Yeah. Have you been playing these quarterbacks in practice, Minka? How are you surprised by this?
He's like, I pick off everybody, so it's hard for me to tell.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
He had a pick. I guess it wasn't a pick 6, but I watched a decent amount of that game. I just am not sure Zach Wilson's that good.
18 of 36, 252, a touchdown, 2 picks.
1 pick wasn't his fault, but
I think he really, this is an obvious
was
thing,
his first game back, I guess.
He really benefits from them just winning that game.
Yeah.
In the chat, Jan says, speaking of sucking, Justin Fields. So what was it? 8 completions last week?
Yeah, it was 23 through 3 games.
Yeah. So add today's 11 of 22 against the vaunted Bill Belichick defense of the New York Giants.
Did have a bomb. Did hit like a 60-yarder though. Did hit a long bomb.
11 of 22, John. That's 50. That's 50%.
Do you have his long bomb?
Was there perspiration in that game? Because
there was no participation. No.
Do I have his long bomb? What do you mean?
Well, like, does it say the long?
56 to Mooney. Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of those sweet, like, one thing he can do. He did this against Clemson, and he did this today in the past. He can just throw it really far, beautiful in the air.
Yeah. Yes, he can.
Because he's got a really, really powerful arm, and it looks awesome when he lets it rip.
It's a laser. It cuts the air for sure.
Isn't he a good example of like the defense of Kyle in sense of like the way he evaluates quarterback, how much of a premium he puts on like reading defenses, how fast you got to be in your decision making, like just how quick everything is. It's like goes back to when you and I were standing next to the Swami, and the way Matt Ryan, who he's washed now, but back then he was sweet. He could go from like 1 to 5 across the field in like rapid fire. It was crazy watching it live, just how quick the pass rush was coming at him and how quick he'd go like, and then let it rip to like the third option on the play. It's an eye-opening experience that the NFL doesn't allow anyone on the sideline, but if you ever get the opportunity and they won't catch you, you should attempt it just so you could go like, Jesus Christ, this is way crazier.
Yeah, that's a good call. I think that, and the other thing that's really underrated is what accuracy actually means. I saw a replay of the a couple days ago of the game-winning touchdown college game, the USC Oregon State game from last week. Remember, Caleb Williams hits Jordan Addison in the corner,
yeah.
and I just
is Jordan Addison number 3 and Mario's 4?
Yeah, yep. When Caleb Williams let the ball go, Jordan Addison was at the 12-yard line and like bumping out towards the sideline. And when he caught the ball, he was at the 2. So when we say like, you got to hit him in the hands, hit him between the numbers. Well, the receiver was 10 yards away from the spot when the ball was released, right? So hitting the guy in the hands doesn't actually mean seeing his hands and then throwing it at his hands. It means knowing where his hands are going to be in 10 yards and throwing it there. That's QB accuracy is vastly like what it actually means. I think we don't even have a really great handle on it.
I also think people think like I ran like a 15-yard route. Well, the quarterback, like Rodgers got sacked either right before the end of the game or in overtime. And you realize where he throws, right? The snap of the ball, it's like a field goal. You just go add 10. Well,
Yeah.
you also then got to do 7 for where the snap is. You got to add 7. So if it's like a 30-yard pass, it's actually probably 7 to 8 to 6 added on top of that.
Yeah.
And depending on the angle of the pass, right? If I'm kind of on the far left and my receiver's way over to the right, I think underrated part is like, oh, that was actually a 37-yard pass.
Yeah,
It's like,
air
oh, it
yards.
just feels like a normal out route.
Yeah,
It's like,
especially if he, like you said, if he goes from one hash to the other, outside the numbers. Hey, shout out to John Lynch. He was right. A bunch of quarterbacks would get hurt to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. Could have sent him to the Dolphins, could be sending him to the Patriots right now. Who knows? He was right, John. The problem is his quarterback also got hurt, but he knew what happened.
But maybe these guys not eating enough protein at ButcherBox. I don't know.
ButcherBox.com/ham. Here's the deal right now. You go to ButcherBox.com/ham. You get 2 10-ounce New York strip steaks and 8 ounce of lobster claw and knuckle meat free in your first order. Plus $10 off your first box at ButcherBox.com/ham.
Yeah, it takes out the guesswork, guy, finding high quality meat and seafood you can trust. 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken. You and I have done it. You can make your own boxes. You go choose seafood, chicken, regular meat, steaks, you name it. They got it. Put yourself a box together and then just go to butcherbox.com/ham. Like I said, to get 2 10-ounce New York strip steaks and 8 ounces of lobster claw and knuckle meat for free in your first order, plus $10 off your first Butcher Box.
There you go. ButcherBox. You can make a knuckle sandwich. ButcherBox.com/ham. That's ButcherBox.com/ham. So, we're going into Sunday Night Football right now. So we'll see Tampa going into that game as 2-1, Kansas City going in as 2-1. So one of those teams is going to be 2-2, and one of them will be 3-1. If Tampa is the losing team, if you're listening to this or watching this after the fact, and Tampa has lost and is 2-2. That would put them in a tie for, well, I don't know if it'll be a tie, but basically 7th place. Because right now in the NFC, Phillies 4-0, Rams 2-1 going into Monday night, Dallas 3-1 beat the Commandos today, Giants 3-1 beat the Bears today, Green Bay winning was a big deal. They're 2-1. So
there's a fraud. The Giants aren't. The Giants are probably a 6-7 win team max.
I agree. Now Arizona won. They're 2-2. So Arizona's better than New York.
Their quarterback. He today again. They're very shitty. It's tied 10-10. They're snapping at each other. They're snapping at each other, and then he just makes some plays. Listen. I'm rooting heavily against them. I get a lot of joy out of rooting against the Cardinals. But I do not act like they are scrub city. JJ got his heart something to just put him to life.
Yep.
And
Shocked him back.
Kyler
just to get him
plays.
Back on rhythm.
Well, did you see JJ's tweet? Like, just wanted to let everyone know. Word is, it leaked. It's coming out today. You're going to hear from me first. It's like, did it really leak, or do you just want to tell everybody?
Well, who was going to report it, you think? Was an NFL network reporter going to report it?
I saw it at like 9:30. He tweeted.
Yeah.
Maybe his agent says like, there's been a leak inside the place where they sent you. It's like, JJ, no one cares.
Do you think that's what it was? The medical clinic? Is that what he didn't say that, did he?
Well, he said, yeah, there was like a base. He didn't say the clinic, but I'm from, right?
The Cardinals maybe, right? Could be.
Yeah. Well, then he's like, find out. Someone tells him that the team leaked. That'd be bad.
That would be really bad if the team did it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, anyway, but the point is just right now, going into Monday Night Football, the 49ers are 1-2. They lose
this game, they're in last place in their own division.
Right.
You can make fun of Pete all you want. I was going to pull up Geno's stat line. They scored 48 points.
48 points. Big Geno was back in the Big 12.
Geno.
Dana Holgerson.
I guess Geno wasn't that great. Threw 2 touchdowns. That's 23-30. I mean, 70%. They busted off some huge runs. Penny had 2 touchdowns. DK got carded to take a shit. You see that? You see his tweet?
No, what did he tweet?
Like, clenching, I wouldn't have made it.
Did he get hit really hard? I mean, what?
I think he really had to go poop, and he knew that he couldn't walk. So he asked the guy to give him a ride, and he sat on the back of the car.
You get there faster, too,
Definitely.
The Paul Pierce.
Would be a big pain, too, if you had to, like, change pants. You don't want to take your cleats off, the tape job.
The tape job. Yep. Yeah, I mean, in Seattle, not that we think anything crazy about Seattle, but they play New Orleans.
It's not that good.
Next week. They play Arizona at home. They could beat Arizona at home, right? They could beat the Cardinals at home.
Chargers got a bunch of injuries. Giants, Cardinals. Yeah, I mean, this is a big game for the 49ers. Like, you better win. Because then next week, you got the Panthers. You start getting some momentum. But like you said last week, you kind of forget just because you're living in the moment. Like, that's a short week game immediately for the 49ers, right?
Right. And then the next game is you're still 2 weeks, second week away from home.
We got 2 big Monday night games back to back. You got Niners, Rams. You know what next week is?
Is it Broncos?
Close. You're in the vicinity.
Raiders, Chiefs?
Do you know where?
Kansas City.
Yeah. It's a big moment for old Josh and Derek. Be a lot of eyeballs on that thing.
Can you hear, if you are listening only, can you hear Middlecoff's grin?
I'm just saying, like, I mean, it's a big moment. These games are big. There's a lot of people.
They won, and he's already setting up their next.
I'm just saying the Raiders playing a lot of these games where not a lot of people are watching. So it's like I can make fun of Jimmy and Kyle as well, but they just play in more games where more eyeballs are on. They just happen to be, Derek. A lot of his career is just played in Sunday afternoon games while they're not the national game. So unless you have the ticket or you're a Raider fan or whoever that team, you're not watching the game. It's where I like, I put you in primetime. It is right. The argument for like Dak versus Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush is clearly pretty good. Could he do it for 50 straight games with the pressure being the case? Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe he could.
Maybe he could, but I give the guy who's done it for several years in a row the benefit of the doubt over the guy who hasn't. I've seen plenty of playing great quarterback is not you threaded a ball 17 yards over a linebacker.
I respect these guys a lot because today's another example of just like everyone, the Colts kind of got their mojo back. They're going to beat the Titans at home. No, they don't. Titans beat them. I mean, Vrabel and Tannehill. Now, I'm not comparing. Like, everyone would take Mike Vrabel over Ryan Tannehill. But the combo, the coach, they do get to play in a lot of games that no one's really watching.
Yeah.
They just do. Now, I think Vrabel, most people would agree, if you put him on like the Steelers, like he'd be fine in primetime games, right? Or whoever. If you just handed him Aaron Rodgers and they became a 5-6 primetime game, he's meant for it. But the Titans do get to just play in a lot of games that, unless you have a Sunday ticket, you're not watching. I haven't seen that many Mike Vrabel games over the years because they play in a lot of 10 a.m. kickoffs against a lot of Texans and Jags.
Yeah, your Vrabel memories are like wild card weekend.
But then he says, just check my resume. Double digits every year.
Well, I know, but that's how it sneaks up. It's the same way how Bill O'Brien was winning he's an over 500 coach, but you felt like you never saw him.
You see Saban yesterday? It was like 28-23. They're up 28-0. Bryce gets hurt. Then all of a sudden you look up, it's 28-23. Their backup quarterback looks fucking swimming.
Latavius Murray, their backup quarterback, comes in and breaks off a touchdown run, though. Did you see that run?
No. His name is Latavius Murray?
No. He just he's humongous.
He's massive. And then they get down to like in the red zone, and Bill calls a pass play, and Nick loses it. You can just hear him mouthing, "Run the fucking ball!" Just screaming into the headset. And they run the ball, and the final score is like 49-28.
Yeah, they were. I mean, Georgia was down.
Georgia has a tight end guy who is 6'7", 280 pounds. I texted a buddy that's been scouting that area for over a decade. So he's seen the biggest freaks, the SEC, the ACC, the South, basically Texas Southeast. He said he is the biggest outlier player I've ever seen. He's a tight end. He's 6'7", 280. He had some number zero.
Where's the single digit? Yeah.
Number zero. He made a couple of plays yesterday where he bounced off some guys. He's like, do you want to hear the crazy part? He's the second tight end. The number 1 tight end is the kid from Napa who's a top
Bowers.
20 pick.
Bowers,
but he's a sophomore, so he can't go anywhere. Their third tight end, he said he screenshotted me a picture of rivals.com, was the number 5 player in the country 3 years ago. So their third tight end, number 5 player in the entire country. That second tight end, 6'7", 280 pounds. Bauer, the best, I mean, it might be the best player on the team, who runs end arounds for 80-yard touchdowns and had a sweet play last night. That team, them and Bama, you just start like, wait, who's this guy? Because whenever there's like that turnover, when like their new guys are emerging, not the Will Andersons or Bowers, but like, who's this guy? And then you like Google them, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, where do they get these guys?
I saw this stat that Will Anderson, their Alabama strength coach, said that he has increased his strength by 40% this year over last year's numbers.
He had a play yesterday where he was like unblocked. It was like a zone read, and he took out them both. Somehow the running back, it's like the quarterback was just getting he was dying as Will Anderson was going to slam into the ground, and like kind of was able to like give it to the running back, and the running back kind of slithered off and then gets destroyed by 2 other guys from Alabama. If you don't block him, even if you're like, let's just read Will Anderson, he's going to tackle you both. You both. He's like shot out of a rocket, like Bosa style.
Ooh, worst line of the day. You think Trevor Lawrence, 11 of 23.
Had a bad pick.
Yeah. Yikes. All right. Melissa Stark is on TV, John. And it looks like the well, actually, I don't know who I was going to say who won the toss and deferred to the second half. But
did you see the Andy Reid commercial today?
No.
With Mahomes?
No. Is he
He's in the Allstate commercial.
State Farm?
Or State Farm or Allstate or whatever. Yeah.
I want to watch it.
It's pretty good.
My question, can anything right now beat the Bryce Young commercial where he's like, he's got a nickname for me. It's Mom. And his nickname for me is Dad. When the kid comes home from college and he goes into his room and Bryce Young is in there lifting weights, he's like, hello, brother. You know what commercial I'm talking about?
Yeah, I haven't seen it with the volume on.
Oh, it's so good. He's
Dr. Pepper commercial?
Yeah, one of the Fansville commercials. Oh, Kansas City deferred.
I do think Andy is the star of the commercial. Like, it's kind of built around him.
I can't wait to watch. I'm going to go find it right now.
Do you think that Mahomes asked for him to be in, or do you think State Farm reached out and said, can you make this happen?
I think State Farm is just loving Pat. He's hilarious in the bath bomb one. He's very funny. The one where he's throwing bath bombs into the bubble. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Do you think he asked? That'd be pretty. Hey, coach, I can get you $1 million. You want to come do this? Kind of smart. Just you got to listen. You got to listen to me over your OC there.
Bieniemy.
If you, I will put you in this ad if you listen to me instead of Bieniemy. How about Antonio Brown? Huh? I don't think the
penis or the post with Giselle.
I don't think the good people at TMZ know how to use the blur.
It has a massive penis if that's true.
What else? What do you think? What else would that be?
I don't know. I've never seen such a poor blur.
Hightower! Bucks just fumbled the opening kickoff. Can we get a replay? Ball's out, John. Ball's out. Tips and overthrows.
Okay, let's go consume.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us. This was just the quickie. We'll see you Monday night. Later.